The most shocking aspect of the NBA's investigation into the Los Angeles Lakers for tampering with former Indiana Pacers forward Paul George isn't that the league found enough evidence to fine the Lakers $500,000, but rather that the league found no evidence at all. In this video, we'll take a look at everything you need to know about breaking rules in the NBA and getting away with it. It's that the Pacers requested an investigation in the first place. A league official told B/R that this is not the first time a team has been investigated for tampering, nor is it the first time a team has been found guilty and fined. It's simply the first time the league has acknowledged it publicly. According to league sources, the Cleveland Cavaliers threatened to ask the league to investigate if there was tampering when LeBron James left them for the Miami Heat, but the team instead conducted its own private investigation. Having said that, investigations are uncommon. Tampering, as defined in Article 35 of the league's constitution and bylaws, is not permitted. The dirty little secret about how the league works, however, is that tampering happens all the time. Teams do not demand an investigation because they accept it as a part of the job and do not want to be held to the same standard. "You're not trying if you're not cheating by the letter of the law," says one former GM. Adds a current Eastern Conference general manager. "You don't get free agents unless you have it. The entire league is based on tampering. That is the only way to accomplish anything." That's why the executives contacted by B/R were surprised the Pacers demanded a league investigation at all. It was dubbed Bush League by one. Several others agreed that the Pacers must have had hard evidence. Almost everyone assumed that Herb Simon, the owner, was simply too enraged by George's declaration that he would leave in free agency to let him go quietly. While there have been previous instances where teams were upset that they lost a star player and suspected that the recruiting process began before his contract officially expired, most have swallowed their rage rather than draw additional attention to the fact that they were rejected or invite similar scrutiny. "You should be careful what you ask for," warns the former general manager. Such transparency becomes a two-way street. Are you certain you want the league to examine every phone call and email you've made? Several executives were taken aback when Pacers owner Herb Simon demanded that the NBA look into tampering surrounding the Lakers' not-so-secret desire to sign Paul George in the summer of 2018. However, there is a widespread belief in the league that an informal agreement on what constitutes bending the rules versus brazenly breaking them has been lost. It has long been assumed that teams and agents will contact each other to discuss their respective interests, regardless of the time of year or the status of a player's contract. It's nearly impossible to keep conversations between Lakers GM Rob Pelinka and creative artists agency agent Aaron Mintz, who represents both George and Lakers forward Julius Randle, focused solely on Randle. What's to stop Pelinka from expressing her interest in George to Randle, who could then pass it on to Mintz or directly to George? Tampering with presumed free agents has long been obvious and prevalent around July 1. When free agency officially begins. As one Eastern Conference general manager pointed out, reports of free agents agreeing to terms with new teams mere hours after free agency began make it obvious that conversations took place long before they were permitted. How many names flash across the ticker 2 hours after midnight announcing a 4-year, $64 million deal? He wonders. Do you think that was done in 10 minutes? You will be fired as an agent if you wait until July 1 to find out what your client's options are. You'll be sitting there watching your client's options dwindle. A GM who follows the rules faces the same danger. Mitch Kupchak worked in the Lakers front office for 31 years, the last 17 as a general manager with complete control over player personnel. He was as conscientious as anyone about keeping a low profile and following the rules. Perhaps the inherent allure of the Los Angeles market and playing for the Lakers spoke for itself. And that strategy served Kupchak admirably until the last few years. Following tepid swings and misses on several free agents, including LaMarcus Aldridge and Kevin Durant, team president Jeannie Buss replaced both Kupchak and her brother, executive vice president Jim Buss, with NBA legend Magic Johnson and former agent Pelinka to run the team's basketball operations in February. Johnson first drew the attention of the league when he joked about tampering with George on a late-night talk show. The $500,000 fine was imposed after Pelinka, Kobe Bryant's former agent, was cited for improper contact with Mintz. What hurt Mitch was that he followed the rules, one prominent agent says. He'd call you at midnight on the first day of free agency and be weeks or months behind. Former Lakers general manager Mitch Kupchak's strict adherence to free agency rules frequently put him behind other teams in luring star players, many of whom are recruited long before the free agency period officially opens each summer. Some executives are upset because, they claim, select general managers are now going directly to coveted players through their own players. The unwritten rules appear to be being rewritten. Previously, it was just agents and front office guys talking, says another former GM. However, the GMs are now talking to their players and making them a direct partner in the recruitment with the other player. While the league's rules state unequivocally that players are subject to the same anti-tampering restrictions as any other member of an organization, players not only break the rule, but in some cases openly brag about it. Warriors forward Draymond Green confirmed that the night Green and the Warriors lost Game 7 of the 2016 NBA Finals to the Cleveland Cavaliers, he asked Oklahoma City Thunder forward Kevin Durant to join them. According to league sources, the two's conversation began much earlier. In any case, Durant did join the Warriors, and there is no evidence that Green was chastised. There have always been various forms of tampering, but there is a fine line, and some have become blatant and feel they're above the rest, says an Eastern Conference scouting director. You can push the boundaries while still respecting the rules and your opponents. According to one executive, there are now teams that instruct potential free agent and trade targets who have indicated a desire to leave their current team on what to say and how to act in order to expedite their current team's desire to move them, essentially providing them with how to piss off your general manager for dummies. Those are the guys who tell the player, "Do these things and you'll be sure to get out," says another Eastern Conference GM. A former general manager insists he pursued free agents who lobbied for benefits beyond a contract because other teams were offering them. What becomes egregious is when teams tell a player, "We'll give you a condo and a Range Rover," he says. "I'm pursuing the same player," and he asks, "Are you willing to do anything for me?" Whether it intended to or not, when the NBA took over the USA basketball men's senior national team in 1992, it created the opportunity for first-hand tampering on a large scale. Franchises quickly recognized the value of involving their personnel, regardless of position, player, scout, athletic trainer, head coach, or assistant coach, because it provided them with an unrestricted opportunity to cultivate relationships with some of the league's best players. And those connections could pay off when a player becomes a free agent. USA basketball is institutional tampering, a former general manager claims. "I know the team for which I worked wanted to be a part of it. It's just too easy to say things like, 'Wouldn't it be fun to play together?' Coaches and players are both tampering." The $500,000 fine levied against the Lakers is unlikely to deter any team from carrying on as usual. Teams can be fined up to $5 million and have an unspecified number of draft picks taken away under league rules. Several executives claimed that because Simon, a long-tenured and well-respected owner, demanded the investigation, Commissioner Adam Silver felt compelled to impose some sort of sanction, even if it was a minor one. "It's more symbolic than anything else," a Western Conference general manager says. "There is no effect." One well-known agent went even further. When asked if it would serve as a deterrent, he laughed, "Are you serious? It might improve it. If it only costs $500,000 to try to sign Paul George, I think every team would." And with that being said, it's time to end our video. Subscribe to the channel for more amazing videos like this. We'll see you with another interesting video.